Guys, welcome to Home Cooking is for the Birds. I'm going to be cooking a pork loin today. This is a 3.14 pound pork loin. You'll see me here. I'm putting some olive oil in my skillet because we are going to sear this pork loin. Now I am going to trim the fat off of this. You didn't see me wash it, but I did wash the pork loin. I'm going to put that in the skillet, and then I'm going to actually pepper this pork loin. I should have peppered it the other side first, but I didn't. That's okay. I'll go back and do that. But you really want to pepper it first because that really cooks into it and it tastes really good. I'm going to actually flip this. I'm about 10 minutes in. It took about 20-25 minutes. And look at that. Yes, that's how you want it. You could even get it a little darker if you wanted to. But yeah, that looks great. And next, we're going to actually transfer this. So you'll want to have a big pot to transfer and put this in. You will need tongs, and I've got a spatula underneath it, which worked great. And then you're going to add some water about 1 inch from the top, and then some onion soup mix. Now you're going to want to keep this covered. You'll cook this for about 3 hours, and I did have to add water a couple of times. You're going to use some of that broth with this skillet right here. So do not throw out the grease in that skillet. Save that. We're going to use that later. Then you're going to want some potatoes and carrots, and you can dice them, cut them in half, whatever you want to do, but I had some small potatoes here I cut in half, and then some carrots, baby carrots, which I did not cut. And you're going to slowly put them in there. You don't want to splatter this. It is hot. At this point, when you add these vegetables, it's been cooking 3 hours. So now you're going to put the vegetables in, and you're going to cook this for 30 minutes. And now if you have a large baking potato, you might have to cook it a little bit longer. And then I'm going to also add some garlic. I am adding in a tablespoon, I believe it was, and go ahead and just kind of stir that around. Put the lid on it and cook this for about 30 minutes. I did, and again, if you've got bigger potatoes or more vegetables, you may cook it a little longer. You can also add celery, which I did not. My husband doesn't like it that way, but you can. It tastes great. And then you're going to go back to that skillet I told you to keep. We're going to make the gravy out of the broth. And so what I did was sprinkle a little flour into that grease that we had in that skillet. And if you don't feel like you have enough grease, you can always add more olive oil or Crisco or whatever you're using. I don't think I'd use Crisco. You could, but you could use canola oil. Olive oil works great. And then what I'm doing here is adding some of the broth out of the pot. And you're going to want to be very careful here. Now you may have a better way of doing it, but it was just easy for me to do it this way. We're going to make a nice smooth gravy here. It's going to be beautiful. And I don't know if you guys have watched my other videos, but I'm allergic to pork and beef, and my husband is not. But sometimes I like to cook things for him. He is always cooking for me. I'm a nurse by trade, and recently I've had a little time off, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm cooking for him, and look at that, how it just turned out great. It's really pretty. So what you're going to do after you cook that gravy, and by the way, with that gravy, you want to keep stirring it. Don't leave that gravy. It will scorch. And just add that gravy on top of the vegetables, the carrots and potatoes. Yes. And just all over that roast. Just bathe that roast in that gravy. And I didn't get a really good picture of it because my husband ate the whole end off of it. He said it tasted so good and just went on about it. There's how I make my pork loin. I hope you enjoyed